Good day, everyone. I am Janee Pineda, and for today's lesson, we will discuss about Plato and his method of teaching. So, class, who is Plato? Plato is a classical Greek philosopher, mathematician, writer of philosophical dialogues, and he is a founder of the Academy in Athens, the first institution of higher learning in the Western world. Along with his mentor, Socrates, and his student, Aristotle, Plato helped to lay the foundations of Western philosophy and science. Plato was originally a student of Socrates and was as much influenced by his thinking as by his apparently unjust execution. So, the exact birth date of Plato is unknown. Based on ancient sources, most modern scholars estimate that he was born in Athens in 427 BC in an aristocratic and influential family. His father was Ariston. According to a disputed tradition, Ariston traced his descent from the king of Messenia. Plato's mother is Perictone. Plato's mother's family boasted of a relationship with famous Athenian lawmaker and lyric poet Solon. Plato himself was the fourth kid in his family. So Plato was named after his grandfather Aristocles, but his wrestling coach Ariston of Argos dubbed him Platon, meaning broad on account of his robust figure. So in the 21st century, some scholars argued that Plato was the original name of the philosopher. Plato's education, like any other Athenian boys, was physically as well as mental. He was instructed in grammar, that is reading and writing, music, painting, and gymnastics by the most distinguished teacher of his time. So, in his later life, Plato may have traveled in Italy, Sicily, Egypt, and Cyrene. Said to have returned to Athens at the age of 40. Plato founded one of the earliest known organized schools in Western civilization on a plot of land in the grove of Hicadimus or Academus. So, one story based on a mutilated manuscript suggests that Plato died in his bed, whilst a young Thracian girl played the flute to him. And another tradition suggests Plato died at a wedding feast. According to Tertullian, Plato simply died in his sleep. So, next is the Plato's method of teaching. Plato divided his scheme of education into two parts, which is elementary and higher education. It is because, according to Plato, there are some certain aspects which are to be developed at a certain age. The highest goal of education, Plato believed, is the knowledge of good, to nurture a man to a better human being. It is not merely an awareness of particular benefits and pleasures. So Plato writes in his Republic, which is bodily exercise when compulsory does no harm to the body, but knowledge which is acquired under compulsion obtains no hold on the mind. So Plato wants a place where children love to go and stay there, and they play with things which enhance their education by playing. So Plato gives importance to nursery education because he thinks nursery education plays a vital role in the education of man, and it helped to build his moral character and state of mind. So Plato thinks it will be hard to discover a better method of education than that which the experience of so many ages has already discovered, and this may be summed up as consisting in gymnastics for the body. According to Plato, learning is a long life process. So, learning is not only done at any educational institution, but it starts from the childhood of a person, from the surroundings, and ends with the death of person. So, there are Plato's aims of education. So, first, to develop leader among the future rulers. Second, to develop hard and competent workers. And third, to produce leaders with military skill among the warriors. And the last is to produce future civil servants of the state. So, Plato regards education to achieve justice, both individual justice and social justice. According to Plato, individual justice can be obtained when everyone develops his or her ability to fullest in this sense. Justice means excellence. For the Greeks and Plato, excellence is a virtue. So, for freedom of children, do not train children to learn by force and harshness, but direct them to it by what amuses their mind, so that you may be better able to discover with accuracy the peculiar bent of the genius of each. So it is compulsory, state regulated, and meant for both sexes, and it ensures both physical and mental development. And the most important part of education is in proper training in the nursery. So it improves morality, element of justice, occupies great position. It is an ideal philosophical plan. So state controlled system compulsory education. He does not favor the idea of learning education in the parents. So he considered education as a positive means by which the ruler could mold the character of the people and promote the spirit of unselfish devotion towards their duties, and favor education both for men and women. He was in favor women holding public offices like men. It is for this step of his that he is regarded as a revolutionary and aimed at moral as well as physical development of the child. So he held that a healthy mind could reside only in a healthy body, and it was essential that education should develop both these faculties and produce philosopher king. It was the chief objective of his scheme of education. The philosophers were expected to govern the masses only through rigorous program of education. He said that bodily exercise, when compulsory, done no harm to the body, but knowledge which is acquired under compulsion obtains no hold on the mind. Plato Republic like this quote. There are many other thoughts and views that are quite contradictory with his own thoughts. In this quote, Plato stands against compulsory education by force in his own opinion. He wanted to enforce compulsory education to the children even by separating them from their parents, which is quite questionable and dead. I hope you learn a lot about Plato and his method of teaching. Once again, I am Janee Pineda, and thank you for listening.
Good morning, everyone. Today, I am reporting about the Plato's concept of talent development. So, I'm your teacher for today. I'm Dean LOYD LOGRONIO. And now, let's start. So, Plato's concept of talent development. Plato's philosophy. Every individual should devote his life to what is best fitted for him to do. The important function of education is to determine whatever individuals is by nature capable of doing things. Poor leadership will lead to wrong decision. Social justice is giving what is due to whom it's due. The physical objects are not permanent representation of unchanging ideas alone give true knowledge as they are known by mind. Intellectual aristocracy is the role of intellectual elite, an individual who should be endowed with superior intelligence and possess impeccable integrity. So, Plato was born in Athens in 427 BC in a wealthy and influenced family. Plato began with philosophical career as a student of Socrates. When the master died, Plato traveled to Egypt and Italy, studied with students of Plato'S, and spent several years advising the ruling family of Syracuse. Eventually, he returned to Athens and established his own school of philosophy at the Academy about 387 BC. Plato founded a school in Athens in a grove sacred to demigod Archimedes called the Academy, which is where we get the word academics from today. So the works related to education of Plato is Republic is dialogue which discuss the education necessary to produce the sight of society. It's an education of a strange sort. He called it Piageia. Nearly impossible to translate into modern idiom, Paideia refers to verbally the physical, mental, and spiritual development of the individual is of paramount importance. It is the education of the total individual. He discusses early education mainly in the Republic, written about 385 BCE, and in the Laws, his last work, on which he was still at work at the end of his life. So, Plato's epistemology is distinguished between the reality represented to us by our senses: sight, touch, taste, sound, and smell, and the essence or form to the reality. In other words, reality is always changing. Knowledge of reality is individual. It is particular. It is knowledge only to individual knower. It is not universal. There are three sources of knowledge. Source number 1, knowledge obtained from sense. In example, knowledge of objects, colors, taste, touch, and etc. But Plato does not consider this a real knowledge, an opinion regarding any object, but this is knowledge cannot be relied upon as the reviews of every person differs regarding to the same object. Knowledge through mind or wisdom. It is the highest degree of knowledge which includes virtues like truth, goodness, and beauty. This is knowledge in idealistic and base and originality thinking. The characteristics of knowledge is that is found in the form of universal truth. The highest goal of education, Plato believed it is the knowledge of good, to nurture a man to a better human being. It is not merely an awareness of particular benefits and pleasure. So those are the three knowledge that Plato's epistemology. the knowledge to obtain the senses, and the knowledge through the mind or wisdom, and the highest goal of education that Plato believed. Education system. Children enter a school at 6 where they first learn the 3 R's. So the 3 R's are reading, writing, and counting, and they engage with music and sports. So here's the teaching methods that Plato recommended. Plato recommended to play a method at the elementary level. Students should learn by doing, and when he should reach the higher level of education, his reasons would be trained in the process of thinking and abstracting. Plato wanted motivation and interest in learning. He was against the use of force in education. But in Plato, knowledge which is acquired under compulsion obtains no hold on the mind. And the meaning of this, according to Plato, is do not then train youths by force and harshness, but direct them to it by amuses their minds so that they may be better able to discover with accuracy the peculiar bent of the genius of each. So, for Plato, instead of harassing the students to learn or forcing the students or pressuring the students, he said that you need to let the students discover with accuracy and bend their genius minds. So let them learn by their own doings. Just guide them for Plato. So here's another teaching methods of Plato. Plato wanted a place where children love to go and stay there, and they play with things which enhance their education by playing. Plato gave importance to nursery education, as nursery education plays a vital role in the education of a man and helps to build his moral character and a state of mind. But the most important part of education is proper training in the nursery. So here's Plato said that every children needs to have a staying place. So because in nursery it is important for the proper training for the children. So he gave importance also to the nursery education. So here's are the role of the teacher for Plato. In Plato's education, the educator is considered to have the greatest importance. He is like a torchbearer who leads a man lying in the dark cave of the darkness into the bright light of the outside world. The teacher is thus constant guide of the students. And the teacher must be a person of high integrity, must possess high self-worth. He must have pleasing personality, in-depth knowledge, and professional training. He should be deeply committed his profession, have senses of responsibility, a true role model. Teachers should lead a true moral life. They should practice what they speak. In a nutshell, Plato's policy state, in essentially as an educational community, it is created by education. It can survive only on condition that is all citizens receive an education that enables them to make a rational political decision. It is up to education to preserve the state intact and to defend it against all harmful innovations. The aim of education is not personal growth, but service of the state, which is the guarantor of the happiness of its citizen for as long they allow it to the embodiment of justice. Education must be compulsory for all also. So Plato on the nature of talent. Plato argued that the talent was distributed not genetically and found in the children born to all classes. Implied, Plato believed that talent is inherently a function of the human physique. Now, because talents are born into the person, it must be developed by the state. Talents itself are useless without the guidance of the state. In Republic, Plato insisted that those suitably gifted are to be trained to the state so that they may be qualified to assume the role of a ruling class. Suffice it to say, Plato believed that mere possession of talent is not enough to qualify as a member to the ruling class. Plato on the nature of talent. One must be trained in the arts of philosophy, diplomacy, and even welfare. The talented person must also pass personality tests that his action must be both moderate and rational. This test would ensure that selected members of the ruling class would be abused power or many cases. Rob the states of its wealth. Plato made it clear that formalizing education system serves to benefit the state. For Plato's talent, it is worth sustained by the most difficult developed by experience. Being born with talent is a privilege. Plato recognized this fact. Thus, he insisted that talented children from all classes be given formal education. Education, whether formal or informal, is a form of experience. As the person matures, he acquires more skill to augment his deficiencies and increase his strengths. This is the principle of the rational education. Person with talents should be developed by experience to ensure maximum potentiality. So, thank you for listening, and that's all for my report. Thank you.